As a Disney fan, I will watch every Disney film. But I'll be honest, I wasn't really looking forward to The Little Mermaid, partly because I'm kind of fed up of Disney remaking all of their classic animations in live action, but also I'm not the biggest fan of The Little Mermaid, the classic animation. I don't have anything against it, I'm just not one of those people who adores it. So I didn't rush to see this. I did wait until it came on Disney Plus. It is now on Disney Plus in the UK, and I have to say it's pretty impressive. I didn't personally love it because I'm still not a huge fan of the story, but all things considered, other than it being very long, and there definitely being some fluff, there are definitely a lot of things they could have taken out of this, kept the length down, and we wouldn't have lost anything. It's actually not too bad. This was released, of course, this year in 2023, directed by Rob Marshall, and we have Halle Bailey as Ariel. We also have a brilliant supporting cast. We have Melissa McCarthy as Ursula, Jacob Tremblay as Flounder, and a particular favourite performance is David Diggs as Sebastian. Sebastian is definitely one of my favourite characters from the classic animation. Even though I don't love it, I do actually really like Sebastian, and I think the Sebastian in this one was absolutely fantastic. The story is very much the same. I won't go into too much detail about it, but basically, Ariel is a mermaid. She wants to be where the people are, and she falls in love, and Ursula, the sea witch, is threatening to take away her ability to swim in exchange for her voice and for her ability to live on land. That's a very terrible way of explaining the narrative, but I'm assuming people going into this are going to have seen the animation. My advice would be, if you haven't seen the animation for any reason, watch it first and then watch this. You don't need to in terms of understanding it, but my personal recommendation would be watch Disney's original classic and then check this out to see how it compares. Honestly, while I did enjoy this and I think it does feel like a really good film, it also feels like it could have been made by other studios. For example, to compare, there are a lot of live action Peter Pan films, and I feel like a lot of those are well, they are made by other studios. But when Disney did their Peter Pan film live action, I kind of felt like Peter and Wendy felt more like a Disney film. Whereas this one, I feel like it could have been done by other studios. It just seemed to be missing something, and I can't put my finger on it. But if I didn't know this was a Disney film, I might not have guessed that it was a Disney film. Of course, assuming I'd never seen the classic animation. I hope that makes sense. The point is, it's not necessarily got that Disney magic that a lot of others do, even a lot of their live action remakes do. But I still really have a lot of appreciation for it. Visually, it is stunning, something I was very, very impressed with. And it may seem like such a small thing, but the movement of Ariel's hair, because it looks like she's underwater. Hair doesn't stay still when you're in water, of course, it moves with the water. And that's what we got, and it was such a subtle thing, but it helped to make it seem more realistic. And I was really impressed with that, and I'm really impressed with it visually all of the way through, particularly Sebastian. I just think the design of Sebastian is not necessarily what was in my head, but it worked really well. I was hoping they'd keep in most of the iconic songs, and they did. And the vocal performances are gorgeous. The songs are very catchy, and I really enjoyed the musical aspect of it. I think when the music's at the forefront, that's when I kind of enjoy it more. As I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the story itself, so when there's no music, I'm not as engaged. That's true with both the animation and this one, but there's a decent amount of music in it that it definitely feels like a musical film. Which seems like an obvious thing to say, but there are films, even Disney films, that might have, two songs in it. They call themselves a musical. But this one definitely has a lot of music in it. Visually gorgeous. I believe the characters' motivations, the character development was very good, the acting, the special effects. I have no complaints about it at all. It is pretty impressive. That's not true. The length is definitely longer than it needs to be. There are so many times when I was watching it thinking you could remove this and you could remove this. Those things are not bad things, but they're just unnecessary. It's padding, it's fluff. There are times when the pacing is really slow. So the length definitely, especially as a lot of children are going to be watching this, and children particularly have short attention spans. I don't know how many children saw this in the cinema, but imagine sitting down, unless the cinema cut was shorter, but asking me, but asking children to sit for over 2 hours in a cinema is quite a big ask. And I feel like Disney have not paid attention to their audience. Of course, a lot of adults are going to be watching it too, but quite frankly, asking an adult to sit for over 2 hours plus, the adverts at the beginning, it's a big ask. And even watching it at home, it's not so bad when I watch it on Disney Plus because I can do other things. I can pause it and go to the toilet. But the point is, it didn't need to be that long. They could have told the story and not lost anything by cutting bits out. But that aside, visually stunning, great performances. The music was really good. I'm still not a Little Mermaid fan, and I would still rather watch the animated version than this version. But some of their live action remakes are diabolical, and I will always go into them with an open mind because some of them are okay. And I have to say, the 2023 Little Mermaid, it's not too bad. It really isn't. I have to say, if you've been on the fence about watching it because, like many people, you're fed up of Disney recreating the same stories over and over again, I'd say give it a watch. Make sure you've got some time because it's a long film, but it was entertaining. I enjoyed it, visually stunning, great performances. Definitely exceeded my expectations.